Hey yo, what's up YouTube man? It's your boy Action Jackson. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about two things. The kicker position and what the Dallas Cowboys should do with the kicker. This is my last time I'm going to be talking about the kicker position. A lot of things I talked about in the past I'm going to bring up again in this video. And I didn't get a chance to talk about the USFL kicker that we did sign. And I'm also going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys camp cuts, since training camp is 2 weeks away. And we're right here in football season, thank God. It's a lot of safe haven for a lot of us. So that's about it. And before we hop into the video, I appreciate it if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. Hopping straight into it, the kicker position for me is real simple. I know we signed two kickers. I already know we got Tristan, which is have been our kicker for mostly throughout the off season that we have signed. I know we did let go of Brett Maher. I don't see him coming back, especially with Jerry talking about it after the pressure against the Niners game. I don't think he's coming back at all. But I know we did sign a kicker from the USFL. I forgot his name, but I know the USFL kicker, he was about 36 of 39 on attempted extra points. And I think we do need that in the building. And I think that this can go one of two ways. I think this could go away in a fantasy world, in a picture-perfect world. He can be this underrated type of guy where you just bring in, he's your safe haven. He's a guy that's your savior from the kicker position, and you don't have to worry about kicker for the next 17 to 20 years. In reality, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that savior most likely from your kicker position where you have him for the next 17 to 20 years. The only time you're going to have a kicker for that long is if he's that consistent for that long. So a guy like Justin Tucker, Daniel Carlson for the Raiders, Harrison Butker for the Chiefs, those are guys that are going to be around for a very long time. Those are guys that will be kicking in their 40s and 50s on relatively the same team. And if they do go to another team, it might be for that other team for the next 5 or 10 years. So more times than not, guys end up being random kickers, like the kicker in Houston, Fairbairn. You know, there's a lot more average kickers than there are great kickers in the league. So he can either go the above average route or he can go to the average, below average type of route. It's up to him. And I think that with the situation right now in Dallas, he has a great opportune time to come in and easily win the starting job. And like I said, he wins in the under 2-minute drill where, you know, you don't have any timeouts. The offense got to quickly run off the field. You got to run on special teams to go kick that last second field goal with like 10 seconds left to go in the game. You're going to need that sort of situation where you're going to have to run on the special teams unit, and your kicker is going to have to be mentally ready to kick it right then and there on go. As soon as he gets his feet set on go. So he can either go that route where he's on the team for a while, or he can go another route to where he just isn't on the team and he gets cut and he doesn't perform well. And I think that, you know, the Dallas Cowboys right now, what they should do is also bring in Robbie Gould, who I've been preaching to bring in, either that, Mason Crosby, Ryan Suckup, whoever you view that you want to be on this team other than Brett Maher. If you want to bring him in, I still will bring in a Crosby, a Gold. Heck, bring in both, because you'll have enough room to fit both in, and you can just have a kicker competition and let the best man win. And of course, I want Gold to win, and I think that we should sign Gold, even though we already had Bones Foster talk about on his behalf how, you know, we would like to have a guy like him in our locker room. He kicked on the big stage before, got the Niners to kick, you know, the game-winning field goal against the Packers in the 21-22 divisional round matchup to send the Niners to the conference game to play in LA. So played in the Super Bowl before, a couple Super Bowls I think one with the Bears when they had played the Saints, or my bad, the Colts. And then you also got to think about when he was the kicker for the Niners, Kansas City Chiefs. So that's about it. I want to bring in Robbie Gould or Mason Crosby. Heck, bring in both just to have a little kicking competition with the other two kickers that we already have, and let the best man win. Now it's time to come into the camp cuts for the Dallas Cowboys, and I have 7 of them, and they are in no particular order. Now with the camp cuts, for me, it just comes into the fact of how many players are the Cowboys wanting to hold at each position. So think about it right now with running back. You know, now since we had switched to the West Coast type of offense, we are going to be introducing a fullback. That's why we did spend the little bit of money that we did have to go out and go spend on undrafted free agent Hunter Lupke. So we're going to have him coming into the roster, and he's going to be a fullback. So he's going to be listed as really a running back. So you're going to have him. You're going to have Tony Pollard. Now it comes down to how many running backs are you going to carry? Because last year you carried 3 with Malik Davis, Tony Pollard, Zeke. And now it's your West Coast scheme. Are you going to carry 4? Are you carrying 5? Or are you just carrying 3, having 2 backs, and then pulling in Hunter Lupke? You can put him in as a hybrid running back, fullback. So I think Ronald Jones gets the raw end of the stick in this deal. I think that your running backs, your 2 running backs for sure, I think are probably going to be Deuce Vaughn and Tony Pollard. So that just right there tells you that I believe that Deuce Vaughn is going to win the running back 2 position. I can see Malik Davis also winning it as well, and making Deuce Vaughn like a healthy scratch where we try to keep him on an active roster, but try to keep him in there. The trickery that you can do within it. You can have Deuce Vaughn play special teams and have him as a special teams designated player. Then if you need him for running back, you can. So I understand with certain players in the league that you can designate certain guys to special teams and they won't hurt or count against your official 53-man roster, which turns into like 45, 46 come game day of your game day active roster. So we can play things like that. We can manipulate the roster, but I think Ronald Jones gets the raw stick of the deal. I would love to keep him around. Veteran type of guy. Yes, he was a key and part of the reason why they had went far in that 2020-21 season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Was the 3rd string running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, so technically he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion and 1 Super Bowl champion where he contributed in and got carries and things like that. So I think Ronald Jones is going to get the raw end of the deal. I don't want him to get cut, but that's another thing. A lot of guys aren't meant to be Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully a lot of them that who aren't going to be Dallas Cowboys, hopefully that they ball out for the next team that they end up going to. So Ronald Jones is 1. 2 is Nashawn Wright. I just think about it right now with the cornerback room. If you just think about it, we'll just go over the names real quick. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, DaRon Bland, Jordan Lewis, Kelvin Joseph, Nashawn Wright, Eric Scott Jr., and then you think about C.J. Goodwin, who's that special teams player. So if you take him away, you don't count him, you got 7 corners. And you think about it last year, week 1, before nobody getting hurt, you had Diggs, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, DaRon Bland, Nashawn, Kelvin. So you had 6 cornerbacks, right? So right now, like I said, you had 8. You take away C.J. Goodwin, now you have 7. So who gets cut, right? You're not going to cut Jordan Lewis. Maybe if the Dallas Cowboys want to get spicy, I think they could just to save some cap. But I just think that the Dallas Cowboys, they look at last year's situation, they're like, we cannot cut NFL starting caliber corners. So in case injuries happen, Jordan Lewis is not a bad option to go to as your 4th, 5th corner. That's not a bad situation at all. So you want to keep Jordan Lewis. So who are the 2 guys, or 3 guys really, but mainly 2 who's going to get cut? It's either your 2nd round pick with Kelvin Joseph, who you have high hopes for, or it's your 3rd round pick that you selected with the last pick in the 3rd round with Nashawn Wright, 6'5", 4'4", 40. Then you got Kelvin, 6'1", 6'2", 4'3", 40. So it's really who you're going to keep. Nashawn Wright has turned his career around in terms of the off the field issues have been one thing, but he's been solid for you special teams wise. And I know you don't draft a cornerback in the 2nd for him to play special teams. So now what you want to do is the odd man out for me. I think it's going to be Nashawn Wright. I think they're going to give Kelvin Joseph. I think they're going to give Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright both the right to fail. But I believe that Nashawn Wright might get the raw end of the deal. But like I said, it also depends on what they want to carry at certain positions. 3, Dante Fowler. Same thing. I don't want to cut him. But again, you look at your defensive end room. Last year you carried, 5 or 6? Because if you think about it, Micah, they're most likely going to want to list Micah as a linebacker because we're crowded in the defensive line group. So I think, and especially edge, because if you think about it with edge, that's why we had to cut Terrell Basham. Now you look at the edge spot, you got DeMarcus Lawrence. Just talk about this last year. DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Chauncey Golston, and then you got Terrell Basham, but really you kept 5. So now you had 5 on the roster. Micah Parsons, that hybrid, so 6. So really you had 6 defensive ends last year on your roster. And then now if you think about it, Dante Fowler might get the raw end of the deal just because he's on a 1-year deal, making anywhere around that vet minimum type of deal. So it's okay to let him go. And so what? You got to eat what, $3 or $4 million? You'll eat that on the salary cap and you'll be fine because you got William Falco now, DeMarcus Lawrence still, Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, Chauncey Golston, Mike Parsons, who is a hybrid. So you got 6 right there. So I think that defensive end room is very crowded, and I think Dante Fowler might get the raw end of the deal. Hopefully he stays around, but like I said, the Dallas Cowboys have to do a lot of manipulating with the roster to keep a lot of guys on here, and I think they can do it, but I don't know if they're going to value Dante Fowler as a worthy roster spot. They might, but then what are you going to do? Are you going to let Chauncey Golston hit practice squad? I don't think you want to do that because you select him in the 3rd round. I don't think you're going to want to let, for sure, I know you don't want to let William Falco on the active on a practice squad where another team, or have him test waivers, because you don't want the same situation that happened last year with John Ridgeway. So you're not going to want to do that for Dallas. So I think if they have to cut somebody to make room, I think Dante Fowler might get it. Number 4, Jabril Cox. I don't want to cut Jabril Cox at all. But if you just think about it from the linebacker position, and shout out to Boss Cowboy and everybody who had that was on that panel talking with Brian Broaddus, but they were talking about with Jabril Cox how, he was good, had a lot of great traits, but then, Brian Broaddus was talking about it with George Edwards how, with Jabril Cox, he'll show his potential, he'll show flashes, then in the next 4 or 5 reps, he'll just take some steps back. So they were talking about with Brian Broaddus just saying that they were, he would take some steps forward, then in the very next rep, he'll take steps backwards. So, and I think also with him, just wrong place, wrong time, got drafted to the wrong place. Michael Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, those were your 3 linebackers at the time. Then you throw in Jabril Cox. He was automatically the last linebacker on that depth chart just because Leighton Vander Esch was a 1st-round pick, so was Micah, and Jalen Smith was a high 2nd-round pick, essentially a 1st-round pick, but really 2nd-round pick, early day 2, and you signed him to a contract at that point. So Jabril Cox was automatically at the raw end of that deal, so he was automatically relegated to special teams duties, towards ACL on Halloween on 2021. Came back the next year, had to play special teams again, and couldn't crack the starting roster, but that's mainly because he couldn't get on the starting roster because he had torn his ACL, so you need 12 months to recover, which is a full year. Then you need another year just to go out and fully recover from that injury. So Jabril Cox, hopefully in his 3rd year into the league, he can just come in, transition well, and figure it out, and just hopefully make the starting roster. You still got Damone Clark, you got Devin Harper, Leighton Vander Esch, DeMarvin Overshown. So again, that linebacker room is very crowded. So Jabril Cox is going to have to show out for him to make the roster. 5 is Neville Gallimore. I just think same thing with Jabril, just wrong place, wrong time. When Jabril got drafted, it was to a whole different new regime. I think he would have excelled well with a Rod Marinelli. But I think with Neville Gallimore, we were initially asking him to be our 3-tech, our rushing 3 technique, just to get upfield and just worry about getting to the passer. But I think when that defense was horrid his 1st year, we were asking him to, eventually replace Dontari Post, whoever told him to throw on weight. Bad advice. So they told him to throw on weight, and I think that kind of ruined him because he was already a twitchy type of 3-tech that was built to blow up your guard or center and get to the quarterback. Then now when you put more weight onto him, he still can do that, but he's not going to be as twitchy as he was coming out of Oklahoma. So now with Neville Gallimore, he's going to have like a Warren Sapp type of training camp for him to even crack the roster, because if you think about it with the defensive tackle room, now you got Osa, who's potentially going to be taking Neville Gallimore's spot as just that straight-up 3-tech rushing up middle. Then you got Mozzie, Quinn Bohanna, Jonathan Hankins. Those 3 guys were just made or put on earth just to stop the run. So you're going to have those 3. Then you got Uzua, and last year you carried 4 defensive tackles. So if you were to keep Neville Gallimore, that would be 5. So I think Neville Gallimore gets to raw end of the deal. Hopefully he finds himself another spot in the NFL. I think he will. But I just think with the Dallas Cowboys just wasn't going to work out. Josh Ball, 4th-round pick in 2021, was deemed a steal for us. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you're eventually brought in as a tackle, then we got to transition you into the guard just for you to get playing time. I don't think that's going to work out. And Seven Simi Fehoko, now bringing him into the West Coast type of scheme that he's already was doing at Stanford in his first 2 years. Same thing. Wrong place, wrong time. You were so deep at the wide receiver position from years 2020 all the way up until 2021. You had CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson. Those are 4 right there where you're going to play astronomical just for you to even crack the roster. And I think that was very tough for Simi Fehoko. He had a chance to crack it last year. I don't know what was going on. Maybe the grasp of the playbook, because it totally is different from running that West Coast scheme, coming into this positionless wide receiver by committee scheme, and inconsistent play callings from game to game. So Simi Fehoko is 6'5", receiver, 4'3", can run a 4'3", 4'4" type of guy, very speedy, has great hands, can run solid routes. I just think that, again, with this wide receiver room, how many receivers are you willing to carry? Last year, wide receiver room was spotty because at the start of the season, the first 3 weeks of the season, you had CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, Jalen Tolbert, and then you had Dennis Houston, back Gallup. You had CD already. You had Noah Brown already. Then you brought in T.Y. Hilton at the end. Again, you only had, 4 receivers? Again, maybe 5 if I miscalculated, but you had 4 carrying last year. So if you think about it, if you think about just your 3 already is CD, Gallup, Cooks, who you traded for, and then Tolbert. Are you going to keep Simi Fehoko? So again, back to how many players or positions do the Dallas Cowboys want to carry, or how many players they want to keep at each position, and things of that nature. So yeah, man, that's about it for the video. Again, my camp cuts are going to be Ronald Jones 1, 2 Nashawn Wright, 3 Dante Fowler, 4 Jabril Cox, 5 Nova Gallimore, 6 Josh Ball, 7 is Simi Fehoko, and then for kicker, I still wouldn't bring in another kicker like Robbie Gould, or Mason Crosby, to just get competition in this training camp for a kicker position. And that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.